Yeah, okay. So I was asked to make a video on UMA, and I did point out in DMs yesterday when I was asked about it that this can be a buy point down in here and possible bottom. Now the reason for a possible bottom, I mean at least for a bounce, that this doji has formed. You know, we've had a lot of downside. We're stop hunting down below the all-time lows. This is a doji candle here, and there could have been a buy point, is what I was saying yesterday. Now it's already bounced, unfortunately, but I was saying that there could be a buy point down in here, down into this previous wick here, in through this area. Now if we go back down into the daily, it's always good to look at these because it's good to understand it, to look out for it in the future, right? And you can see what that is. Just looking at this chart here, you might think, oh God, or maybe I really don't want to buy that. But when you understand where it's actually coming into in the quarterly wick, then it becomes a little bit more appealing. On top of that, there was, now I was extremely busy yesterday trying to get the new tool finished and ready and released, and lots of different things. And then the issues with it and all that. So it was a bad day for me personally. I kind of missed any trading in that move we had yesterday. Our stop hunt alerts went crazy because there was a lot of stop hunts yesterday, bullish stop hunts yesterday, that ended up pushing the market a lot higher, right? And so I missed it yesterday because I was too busy getting the tool ready and releasing it, and then finding out that there was an issue with it that I had to go in and try and fix. So I had a very busy day and missed it, so it was kind of frustrating. But don't get me wrong, all my longer term holds were all up nice, and you know, it was still nice on that part, and it's nice to see the market bouncing, nice to see the market reacting where we had hoped it would start to react on a dip into the new quarter. The big question now is the quarterly low in? Is this the quarterly low in? Now what I will say with UMA, if you've missed UMA, there, in these patterns, there's often at some point after a move down, back down to here, right? So at some point this, you know, may fail here, wherever, and then come back down into here before the bullish retest. That is a normal process. Here's a good example. You get the bottom, you come back down into here. Now it's not the exact setup here. Okay. So see this bullish engulfing candle, price moves off of it, comes back down into the around the 50% retrace. Now it doesn't always come into the 50% retrace of the candle, here to here, and you can see it's not actually a 50% retrace, it's above the 50% retrace, what I tried to draw here. So perfect actually. So you can see here above the 50% retrace here, that's what I tried to draw over here. Now let's look to see how accurate that I was here, right? Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one there. So if we get that move there, I'm actually trying to draw there. Sorry, I'm confusing myself now with the wrong thing opening up. Now above the 50, see the 50, it's hard to read it there. Maybe I need to change this writing. But the 50 is red, above the 50, so I was spot on where I drew it. See the red 50 here, above the 50. Now that is a bullish retest. Above the 50 in these patterns are bullish retests that can be bought. So right now, just even here, I'm going to set an alert for UMA. Okay, so you can see here, just that is not even right. Buy point in a bullish retest level. Okay, so right down here. So right now, obviously, if you missed the initial move, that is where I would be looking to get long to see, because if this is if the quarterly low is in, that retest level should hold and we should continue higher. Okay, so I wouldn't FOMO here. I think there was a couple of people in the group that actually held UMA. Of course, you know, these spikes were probably good to be selling into, and you know, getting back out again and maybe getting back in or whatever, but it's not always easy in the moment. I think most people that are holding any type of coin, altcoin, are and maybe have been patient, have been kind of waiting for these bases to actually break out and get something more substantial or something more sustainable to the upside to take better profits. The market has definitely tested our patience. We're getting a lot of bullish fundamental news, you know, with stable coins, with Bitcoin, with companies buying Bitcoin all over the world. The legislation is coming now in September. That could be a big thing. Banks coming in, loans going up, governments and companies and all buying Bitcoin, and you know, so things are happening, and the hope is that that'll all spill over into altcoins. Maybe if Trump lowers interest rates, that will allow for even more lending and more liquidity into the markets. That can create that extra liquidity that we need for the altcoins to pump. Most of the liquidity has gone into the larger companies, larger coins at this point. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hype, Uni, not so much Uni actually, Av and Link and different things like that. Link is actually not so good. I mean, it didn't have as good a move as I had hoped. I still hold some Link, but anyway. So the problem here is that this is deep red on the year. This is not ideal, right? That's the thing. So it might be a bounce and creating a wick in the red candle, which could ultimately be the very bottom, because if this bounces into the second half of the year and creates a decent wick here, you know, there's always a chance then on a new year that this could pop up into this wick and take liquidity above. Okay, so it is a big level here, and that retest that I just talked about, you know, it needs to hold. If that starts breaking, well, something else is happening, and then the quarterly lows are probably not the quarterly lows. It's probably going to break below that. That bullish retest level needs to hold. But you know, this is the issue that we are facing with most altcoins are having a red year, right? It's even Ethereum, as an example, most altcoins are having a red year. So it's been a bit frustrating. You know, a major hope is that going into next year, things can be sustainable and we could have a green year. If we could have a green year in 2026 in most of the coins, I mean, obviously that would be fantastic, because things are kind of lining up that way. I know Bitcoin's way up on its highs, and people are, some people are expecting a crash and all the rest. Not saying we can't get dips and stuff, but it just would be nice if we could actually open up and have a green year next year, considering all this good news and all that sort of stuff. As far as our TImeframe Status Pro, okay, you can see here TImeframe Status Pro up here. I've actually got this on the 3 month. I didn't really mean to put it on the 3 month, so I was curious to see why it didn't flash somewhere there. Yeah, so that's the weekly trend, obviously. Let's move out so you can just kind of see there the weekly trends, and has been capturing some of those moves up and then capturing the move down. Now, it didn't capture this reversal for a few reasons, and the main and sole reason, of course, is that UMA was not green on the week. UMA was, deep red on the week, so this reversal will not get caught on it. It's not a trend, it's a reversal. Now, if I just go to the weekly, we can just delete some of that, and you can see that it is still red on the week. Even still, that is why it didn't flash, but you can see it still did give very, very nice moves. One last thing, I'm not the biggest fan of this type of setup here. It's not a good. It can be okay, right? It's not ideal. I don't like the fact that it's a higher low here makes it a little bit better, but I'm not a big fan of this rejection candle right here. Kind of means sometimes you can just do this and fail and go to new lows. Okay, but the hope is not that doesn't happen. You can see here we got a similar-ish type candle, but it did actually manage to get a bounce. We also had kind of a similar candle there. Obviously then the low broke down there and it continued lower. So you want this low to hold, otherwise this is going lower. That retest level that we talked about, it's imperative that it does hold. Small dips that we talked about down in there, it needs to hold the bounce. If it starts breaking this level, be careful. It's not easy to just reverse a large drop candle like this on the 6 month. Yes, we're green. Yes, we can have bounces, but it's not easy to negate these. Okay, how do you start creating uptrends? You need to create higher highs. Okay, it is not easy to create a higher high than here. Bounces in here can still be considered bearish bounces to go lower. How do you change that trend? Well, this is a prime example. Sometimes you create a small doji candle here, that then allows you to take out the highs of that candle. And obviously this moved up on it, but it ended up failing and come back down. But you need to take out the highs of the previous candle. Okay, like you can see clearly, you know, there's a high, there's a lower high, lower high, lower high, and here. And then when this high broke, obviously there was a, you know, that bit of upside. But then it started to go into a downtrend again, downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. So, yeah, got to be careful. Not easy to break this. I know some people might not want to hear it, but the easiest and maybe best way is to form a kind of a doji candle like this here, and then see if the market can actually reverse. That's a 6-month candle. That's going to take time. It's not ideal. So if you're holding UMA, it may, you know, I'm not saying everybody needs to make up their own decision, but I'm just saying if there's bounces up on here, there's a possibility it could take some profits or take some losses. I don't know if it's losses or profits that people are in. I'm just saying it's something to consider. Now, if there was a bullish stop on here first, maybe it might be worth holding to see if we can get more than that move.